Hello, Gnome 49 Brescia desktop environment. It has been officially released. It introduces a new Do Not Disturb toggle and support for per monitor brightness slider in quick settings and support for dynamic users in GDM. The Gnome project released today Gnome 49 Brescia as the latest stable version of this widely used desktop environment for GNU Linux distributions. A major release that introduces exciting new features. The highlight of GNOME 49 include a new Do Not Disturb toggle in quick settings, a dedicated accessibility menu in the login screen, support for handling unknown power profiles in the quick settings menu, HDR brightness controls, support for passive screencasts, and support for async keyboard map settings. GNOME 49 also introduced support for media controls, restart and shutdown actions on the lock screen, support for dynamic users for greater sessions in the GNOME Display Manager, and support for per monitor brightness slider in quick setting on multi-monitor setups. On top of that, the Events document viewer was replaced with new Peppers app. Totem video player was replaced by Showtime. Mutter now supports cursor movement at maximum refresh rate with VRR variable refresh rate, and there is a new donation reminder notification to encourage users to help GNOME development. The Nautilus Files Manager received a new icon for finished operations, the ability to sort local mounts in the sidebar by a device name, a Ctrl plus dot keyboard shortcut for opening the current directory in the terminal, transparency support for hidden files, and performance improvement to batch renaming. Epiphany GNOME web browser received a major redesign to the address bar, a kiosk mode, the option to use a separate search engine in incognito mode, support for adding an OpenSearch XML search engine with auto discovery, support for the location portal, and support for unmuting a non-tabbed page. Epiphany also received a revamped permissions popover, reading time estimate in the reader mode, support for closing the sidebar when clicking a link in the bookmarks sidebar, a button to uninstall a web app from the hamburger menu, and support for sandboxed apps. GNOME Calculator received support for Egyptian pound currency and the British pint and gallon units. The British pint and gallon units. A new button to indicate the angle units used. A backspace button. Support for NAND, NOR and XNOR operations. Support for marking currencies as favorites, and new preferences to disable currencies in autocomplete. GNOME Calculator also received support for permutation and combination, support for arbitrary root function, support for greatest common divisor and least common multiplier, support for input and output of sexagesimal DMS values, support for selecting parts of the previous calculation, and support for repeating the last operations. The snapshot webcam app received quite some enhancement during the beta version, including support for hardware video encoding, improved gesture handling, support for GTK's native YUV support if available, and support for H.264 MP4 format by default for video recordings if possible. Among other changes, GNOME Box's default virtual machine storage disk was increased from 20 GB to 30 GB. GNOME Calendar's month names are now more prominent. GNOME console received a full screen mode, and it's now possible to configure the Orca screen reader from Gnome settings. Talking about the Orca screen reader, it received a system D user service, better line identification of web content, and with sub/superscripts, better performance of finding clickables in web content, support for politeness level in the accessible announcement event, and support for structural navigation in all apps. The Gnome Remote Desktop app received touch support and better support for NVIDIA systems. The Quadruple Classic Falling Block game was ported to GTK4 and Libada Vita. Gnome Online accounts received Webflow authentication support for Nextcloud, and Gnome Software received systemd based startup support. So for more, you can check the release notes, and you can also download from their official website. Thank you so much.